The Maya used their expert knowledge of maths and astronomy to create a sophisticated calendar, which was used throughout Mesoamerica. The calendar was actually made up of two separate circular calendars called rounds. They rotated alongside each other like cogs. The Ha'ab consisted of 18 months, each with 20 days. There were also 5 unlucky days at the end of the round. This gave a total of 365 days. The Tzolk'in was the sacred calendar. It consisted of 2 rounds. The outer round contained 20 day names, while the inner round contained the numbers 1 to 13. These 2 rounds matched up once every 260 days. The sacred Tzolk'in calendar is still used by some modern Maya communities. It took 52 years for the first day of the Ha'ab to match up with the first day of the Tzolk'in. Any length of time longer than this was measured using the long count system.
It is believed that around 500 BC, Babylonians and likely earlier other civilizations began making calendars by simplifying the constellations along the ecliptic into 12 equal parts of 30 degrees each, what we know of today as the zodiac wheel. However, the constellations vary in size and are not equal in the number of degrees they take up along the ecliptic. Larger constellations like Virgo take up over 45 degrees, while smaller ones like Cancer span less than 20. The simplified calendar and astrological system are the early roots of where we get our modern-day astrological charts of 12 equal signs, each given an even 30 days of the year for a sun signs. For instance, Aries is between March 21st and April 19th. However, in truth, Aries is much smaller than this, and the sun is in Aries for less than 30 days. So why did these ancient civilizations create such a simplified system if it took away from the actual sky? It's likely because they wanted to time seasonal events more consistently, such as the beginning of spring. This makes sense for the time because so much of life depended on the seasons, particularly for agriculture and travel. Where that leaves us today, unfortunately, is with an astrological system that no longer reflects the actual sky. So the question is, why do we still use the simplified system? Around 200 AD, an astrologer by the name of Ptolemy proposed the idea of fixing the signs around the seasons, so that every spring equinox, the sun is at 0 degrees Aries in the astrological chart. The purpose of this was to solve a problem for astrologers at the time known as precession, whereby the sun does not originate to the same exact position in the sky every year. So what might mean the start of spring when the sun enters Aries one year may not years later. The change is very subtle, about 1 degree every 72 years. However, over a long enough period of time, this change can be drastic. To solve this problem, Ptolemy proposed the idea of fixing the chart around the seasons, instead of the ever-changing sky. This idea was adopted by the establishment through the Middle Ages in Europe, and now is what almost everyone in the West uses today. The problem for us today is that 1 degree every 72 years of variation has now left us with almost a full sign difference from the actual sky. In other words, what seasonal or tropical astrology says is a sun in Aries during spring is actually a sun in Pisces. Most so-called sidereal astrology systems don't use the actual constellations either. The vast majority still use an even 30 degrees, like the Vedic astrologers. A small but growing number of sidereal astrologers do use the natural uneven constellations. This form of astrology is sometimes called astronomical astrology or true sidereal astrology. Most of these systems also take into account Ophiuchus, also known as the 13th sign, a constellation which passes through the ecliptic that was omitted from the original 12 zodiac signs during the Babylonian and pre-Babylonian simplifying of the zodiac.
Adorned in master's loving art, she lies. The blade and chalice guarding o'er her gates. She rests at last beneath starry skies.